exploring a new. Welcome, and thank you for joining us this evening for an engaging discussion in our introduction to the Foundations of Reading, Exploring a New Seal of Literacy Pathway, a professional learning opportunity that has been approved by the State Board of Education as an option to earn the Seal of Literacy. My name is Idalia Schumann. I am the Director of Teaching and Learning with Kansas National Education Association and a member of the Blueprint for Literacy Advisory Committee. The science of reading has been a hot topic among educators, academics, and parents over the past few years, as states and school systems rush to find solutions to the country's reading crisis. The urgency is real. A third of Kansas students read below grade level. Additionally, 65 to 70% of students need systematic instruction in foundational skills to become proficient readers. Educators in Kansas play a crucial role in addressing low reading proficiency, and the science of reading provides a strong foundation to ensure more students receive evidence-based instruction in literacy. We realize that our efforts thus far are not enough to achieve equity and economic social mobility for all students, particularly for populations who have been furthest from the opportunity. Kansas education institutions and educators are responding by making dedicated efforts to provide and utilize learning opportunities for pre-service and in-service educators. And by taking on these roles and implementing strategies, educators in Kansas can make a significant impact on improving student literacy and helping them succeed in school and beyond. This evening, it is our goal to provide teachers with the information they need to take the next step in their professional learning journey. We will provide an overview of the Kansas Blueprint for Literacy, the Kansas Seal of Literacy, the foundations of the science of reading courses, and provide an opportunity for you to ask questions. Please direct all your questions to the Q&A section of the webinar. Questions will either be answered live or by typed response. If your question is answered and you need additional clarification or have follow-up, please use the raise hand button. From there, we will give you access for you to ask your question live. Now, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce our esteemed panel. Dr. Carolyn Carlson, Professor of Education at Washburn University. Dr. Shane Carter, Teacher of Licensure at Kansas Department of Education. And Dr. Cynthia Lane, Director of Literacy at Kansas Board of Regents. I turn it over to you, Dr. Lane.
Thank you so much, Adalia, and welcome to everyone who's joined us for the webinar. Adalia, I want to take this moment to just thank you for your service to educators and families across Kansas. You are a model for all of us, and it's an honor to work with you. So thank you. Thank you for leading us off tonight. As Adalia mentioned, my name is Cindy Lane, and I currently serve as the Director of the Blueprint for Literacy. And it truly is great to have you all with us tonight and what we hope will be our inaugural town hall. I want to thank Rachel Rubio and Delaney Williams for all their behind-the-scenes efforts to make tonight happen. We've been thinking about a way to communicate across educator groups, advocacy groups, families, and others who are interested in literacy. And so tonight, I'd like for you to think about one of the most important things that the Blueprint for Literacy can do is help us all build a movement comprised of educators, families, school board members, governing boards, community organizations, and other advocacy groups. Frankly, coming together as Kansans is the way forward to help improve support for educators and to improve outcomes for our kids in the area of literacy. So think about the Blueprint as an opportunity to join a movement. Let me talk to you a little bit about what is this Blueprint for Literacy. I was thinking this morning that The blueprint has been in place now for 10 months. In fact, Governor Laura Kelly signed the Blueprint for Literacy, or Senate Bill 438, into law a year ago on April the 24th. So it's pretty poignant that we're gathered here with all that has been done and the opportunities before us. Governor Kelly signed the law in April of 24, and nearly 100% of our legislators, no matter their party affiliation, joined forces to approve Senate Bill 438 and authorized $10 million to support the initiative. So since then, the blueprint has been discussed as a model for other states to consider as higher ed and K-12 educators come together to try to improve outcomes for our kids. So let's talk a minute about what's been done to date from the blueprint perspective. First thing that was accomplished is a revision of our undergraduate courses in the science of reading, emphasizing the application of structured literacy. And these courses are in place across our 7 public universities and supported by a common performance assessment that is common across all 7 universities to ensure that our undergraduates have a stronger skill set in science of reading, in particular structured literacy. In addition, we just completed a curriculum analysis to review all the science of reading and structured literacy elements taught in our undergraduate elementary education programs, and, really important, to ensure that all discredited or disproven practices have been removed from our higher education courses. We've also developed this professional learning course, or courses, that you're going to hear more about, that we refer to as the foundation course. And this is available at low or no cost, and particularly want to stress the no cost to all in-service licensed educators in the state. So more information to come on that. In addition, we developed a plan to establish centers of excellence in literacy across Kansas. The centers were designed to provide sustained support to educators and families. Unfortunately, the implementation of those centers is currently on hold, but we continue to think about how we can support educators and families. We've also worked on many other initiatives not on the slide, but I thought it'd be important to share a few of those with you. We are working on a regionally based literacy coaching, focused particularly on our small school districts, those with 500 or fewer students. We're developing a training module and data-informed instruction that can be available to educators who want to strengthen their data literacy. We're working on various micro-credentials, one that is focused specifically for our educators of multilingual children, a second in disciplinary literacy to help support our secondary educators, and thirdly, we're working on a course or a series of courses to support our paraprofessionals. So the blueprint is focused on post-secondary or higher ed, and that's a very important element to understand with the blueprint. We work in partnership with KSDE and the state board, but the majority of what is in Senate Bill 438 speaks to what higher education is and needs to continue to do and get better, all for the purpose of equipping educators to teach every child to read. The specific goal articulated in Senate Bill 438 is that 100% of our elementary teacher workforce achieves a credential in the science of reading and structured literacy by 2030. The foundation course now will count as that, and then Shane Carter will talk to us about other options that support this goal. Let me just say that we define the elementary teacher workforce as pre-K through 8. We'll talk to you about the foundations course is designed for pre-K through 6. And it is for any educator that is in a general ed classroom, a special ed classroom, teacher of second language learners or multilingual learners, and special education. But the goal is to get everyone the support and training they need by 2030. So the blueprint is about professional learning, and of the focus from the blueprint's perspective is how to design high quality learning experiences and to focus on instruction. We partner strongly with the State Board of Ed and with the Kansas State Department of Education, and they too provide high quality professional learning. But in addition, it is the state board and KSDE that's responsible for licensure requirements and the seal of literacy. Our role, again, in the blueprint is to support with education, professional learning, and to help us all strengthen our instruction. So in a moment, I'm going to be handing over the stage, if you will, to Dr. Carlson, who's going to take you deeper into the Foundations course. But I wanted to share just a few reasons why Kansas educators might want to consider enrolling and completing Foundations. First of all, this experience is at no cost to school districts or Kansas educators. Tuition is paid by the blueprint, and let me add, there is also a $500 stipend that is paid to any educator who successfully completes the course. Now, the tuition and stipend are for general ed teachers, special ed teachers, ESOL teachers, and early childhood teachers. We welcome all others to enroll, but the tuition and stipend payments are for that more narrowly defined group, frankly, just because we have limited resources. The course offers 6 hours of graduate credit at any of our participating universities and independent colleges. Let me stress that all 7 of our public universities are not only offering the courses, but they've been the leaders in development of the course. And we're excited to share that the course is eligible now, as of last week, for the Kansas Seal of Literacy. Now, what's, I think, very unique about the Foundations course is that it's focused on application, and you receive personalized coaching. And Carolyn's going to share with you a little more about what that looks like. But let me just stress, this course is not for everyone. This course is specifically designed for educators who really want to delve more deeply into our practice and want support in improving the application of structured literacy and the science of reading with students in our classroom. So think about your focus and expect that there'll be a lot of engagement with your faculty to ensure quality focus. One other thing I want to share before I hand it off to Carolyn, as this course was developed across our 7 public universities by a group that I fondly call the Literacy 7, and we have shorthanded that to the L7, so you might hear those phrases used. But this group represents a literacy expert from each of our public universities who have worked tirelessly to craft a unique experience that's a high-impact experience and will provide educators the support they need to be successful. So I know you have a lot of questions and you're anxious to learn more. So let me hand this over now to you, Dr. Carlson, to take us deeper.
Thank you, Dr. Lane. So I want to talk just a little bit about kind of the course, the development of it, what it looks like, what you can expect, and the commonalities and the unique characteristics that you might see in the course. So as Dr. Lane mentioned, it is 6 graduate credit hours. We've broken it into 2 3-hour courses. So you might hear us refer to it as the course or the 2 courses, but it is a 6 credit hour experience. There are some unique things about it, and Dr. Lane alluded to these just a little bit. The course has been collaboratively developed by, as Dr. Lane mentioned, the experts from the 7 public universities. And I am really proud to be a part of that group. We have worked together for several years, but when we were given this task to develop this course and create a new pathway, we really took this as quite a meaningful experience for us. And so we have worked together, and it's not often that you'll find 7 different faculty members from 7 different universities collaborating to create a course to be shared statewide. So I'm really proud to be a part of how this was developed. With that being said, we are currently piloting the course. It's being piloted at Washburn, and so I am the instructor for that. And so as we are working through the pilot, the 7 of us, as well as other support persons from around the state, we're reviewing it, improving it, using feedback from the educators that are in the course, doing our own reviews. And so we're continuously reviewing it and improving it. It's been peer reviewed by both KSDE and the Reading League. We got feedback from them early on, made some additional improvements, sent it to them again. They both gave us their approval, and that's kind of how we've gotten led to the Seal of Literacy. Some additional things that make it unique, and this really gets to what you might experience when you take the course. It's really focused on the knowledge and the application of structured literacy, and it's really educator focused. We created this so that it would be exactly as close as we could get to exactly what teachers need and what they need to apply this knowledge in their settings. So there's personalized learning of knowledge, and what that looks like in this course is that as you start the modules, there is a knowledge section, and within that knowledge section, if you already have that knowledge, you can move through that more quickly. If you don't quite have that knowledge, maybe it's something you're not as familiar with or something that you've not had a lot of practice in, you might spend more time in that section. So there are ways where we honor the knowledge that you have and move you to the application and move you to more of that authentic learning. But if there are pieces that you still need to work on, you can spend as much time as needed in that knowledge section as necessary. So as I mentioned that I'm piloting the course right now, all of my teachers started at the same spot, and then they quickly have moved to different spots in the course, depending on how quickly they're moving through the modules and based upon their knowledge and their application. Throughout the course, you'll be learning from the experts in the field. As you know, the 7 of us have created this course, so we've really taken the best of what we all have to collaborate and use the materials, the resources, the examples, all the things that we all have, and have created this learning opportunity. But it's beyond even the 7 of us. We've had support from others around the state, lots of different people that are continuing to offer their expertise, participate in the actual instruction. So there's a lot of collaborative expertise going into how these courses are not only developed, but also how they're taught. We utilize a community of practice model, and we believe in that model of all teach and all learn. We believe that all educators have something that they can learn and also something that they can teach. And so we really lean on each other to have conversations, usually around a problem of practice or some kind of real world maybe scenario or difficulty that maybe a teacher's having, try to work through those things. And so we really lean on this community approach to make it as meaningful of an experience as possible. And then we also have personalized coaching. I have been fortunate enough in the pilot to have one-on-one coaching for each of the educators. That may or may not be the case, depending on the institution that you take the course at. But in my case with the pilot, I'm fortunate enough to have coaches for one-on-one coaches for every educator. And we believe that coaching is not something that just some people need. We all have things that we can grow in. We all have ways that we can get better, we can improve. So everyone in the course has an element of coaching. And that's where we can take specifically things that you're working on and help you set goals and reach those goals and work through different things in your own experience. And so those types of elements are what is built into this course. And as Dr. Lane mentioned, this is maybe a different type of graduate course or a different type of learning experience, because it really is all encompassing with with knowledge, with application, with the community of practice, with learning from all the experts that we have across the state, and also that one-on-one or small group coaching to really guide your learning. So you can see that we have broken into 2 different courses. So we have our Foundations 1 course and our Foundations 2. These are the topics. These are probably the topics that you would expect from a course like this. So in the first course, we have these 6 modules, if you will, and then in the second one, we have an additional 6. If you are familiar with Scarborough's reading rope, we followed the upper and lower strands as best we could. So these are the topics that you will see in both courses. So you might be interested in this course if you've not started letters, or you're not in letters, if you've not taken one of the other licensure exams, if you're looking for graduate credit. And if you want, I think this is probably the most important thing, if you want an experience like this, if you want to work with other educators, work with your faculty, really dive into this material, improve your practice. If that's what you're looking for, then these courses are for you. And I'm going to turn this now over to Shane Carter from KSDE, and he is going to talk a little bit more specifically about the Seal of Literacy and the requirements and how our course fits into what they're doing.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Shane Carter. I'm the Director of Teacher Licensure for the Kansas State Department of Education. First and foremost, I do appreciate you taking time this evening to join us for this update. And as Carolyn just stated, I will be sharing with you more details about what other trainings are available out there and what are the requirements for the Seal of Literacy and how individuals can go about qualifying for that Seal of Literacy and how that's going to be tracked. So before I get into the actual update, I would like to cover, and you will receive information about a link to this page, but there is a FAQ that is on the teacher licensure webpage. So for the most up-to-date information regarding the Seal of Literacy and the requirement, I do encourage you to bookmark this webpage because it will update through time, but you can always refer to it if you want to find the most updated information. All right, so when we break into the science of reading and the licensure requirement, first and foremost, it's not a requirement for all educators. The state board put into effect at last May 2024's board meeting, the following requirements for individuals that serve in specific positions that are renewing their professional license. And those specific positions are elementary English language arts teachers. And when we talk about elementary for licensure, our licensure endorsement for elementary is pre-K to 6. So when I reference elementary, I'm referencing those grade levels pre-K to 6. So that includes pre-K and early childhood educators. All right, elementary history, government, social studies teachers. So when we break down the elementary, you'll notice that there's not PE teachers on there, world language teachers. There's not music. There's not art. So this requirement doesn't pertain to them. It is the individuals that are teaching the general content in these 2 areas. Or if an individual is a special education teacher services that are serving at that pre-K to 6 level. If you have a reading specialist that is serving solely in the high school or the secondary level, this will not pertain to you. School psychologists, same thing, serving that pre-K to 6 level. If they're in secondary, it doesn't pertain to them either. And our administrators that are assigned to a building level position. That includes dual-hatted superintendents that are serving as both an elementary principal and a superintendent. But if an individual superintendent is not dual-hatted, then the requirement is optional for them. So the state board had approved two different ways in which individuals can demonstrate that they have the knowledge of the science of reading. One of those is through professional development training. So I'm about to cover the professional development training options. The second option is by passing a state approved exam. So after I cover the professional development training options, we'll move in, transition into those tests. So first and foremost, one of the first trainings that was approved by the state board that many are familiar with is the letters training. And for letters, it's not simply just one training. There's 3 different trainings available. There's the letters for elementary educators. So any educator, regardless of their position, doesn't matter where they serve, secondary, as a superintendent, any educator can complete the letters for elementary educators and qualify for the seal of literacy. There's also letters for early childhood educators. Individuals that are serving in a pre-K position only can complete this version of letters and qualify for the seal of literacy, but they have to be serving in that pre-K position. There's also a version for administrators. And once again, just like the early childhood, if an individual is serving in an administrator position, they may make the choice to choose to take the administrator's version or the elementary educators. Either will qualify them for the seal of literacy. We also have Ames Pathways to Proficient Reading. There's also 3 options built in within Ames Pathways. The Pathways to Proficient Reading, once again, that's available for all educators. Doesn't matter, regardless of what position you're in. You complete that training, you will qualify for the seal of literacy. The next is the Pathways to Proficient Reading Secondary. This is solely optional. If a secondary educator wanted to take this particular training, they may, and then they would qualify for the seal of literacy as well. And there's also a leadership version that's set up for administrators as well. So if an administrator serving wants to take this training, they can qualify for the seal of literacy. We also have the Keys to Literacy. That is the only option. There's only one option for the Keys to Literacy, and that's their Keys to Beginning Reading. And once again, it's available for all educators, regardless of position. Whoever takes it, passes it, completes it, will qualify for the seal of literacy. And our most recent addition to this list that we've covered is the Blueprint for Literacy courses. They're foundations of the science of reading, understanding, and applying structured literacy principle courses. So any of these trainings that are completed, and we'll get into some more requirements about these trainings that you have to actually achieve in order to qualify for the seal of literacy. But these are the state board list that's been approved thus far. All right, so we'll go ahead and break into some of the specifics about these trainings. First, for letters, if you're an elementary educator and you're completing the elementary version, there's 2 volumes to it. Volume 1 is units 1 through 4, and volume 2 is units 5 through 8. For you to qualify for the seal of literacy, there are post-tests associated with each of those volumes. An educator must score 80% on the unit 1 through 4 post-test and the unit 5 through 8 post-test. If an individual does not completes the program but doesn't pass those scores, they would not be eligible for the seal of literacy. They would have to move to one of our other options to qualify for the seal of literacy. The Blueprint, that would obviously be a great option for someone that needed that additional training and to pass training to qualify for the seal of literacy. We also have the Letters for Early Childhood Educators. It is 1 volume. It's units 1 through 4. An individual has to score an 80% on that post-test in order to qualify for the seal of literacy. And just a reminder, they must be serving in a pre-K position when they complete this training to qualify for the seal of literacy. And then we have the training for administrators, also an 80% on the post-test for units 1 through 5 for that particular training. And once again, the individual must have been serving as an administrator when the training was completed to qualify for the seal of literacy. Next, we have the Ames Pathways program. Their Pathways to Proficient Reading has a post-course knowledge inventory. An individual would have to score an 80% on that and provide documentation of reaching that 80% to qualify for the seal of literacy. The Pathways to Proficient Reading also has a post-course knowledge inventory that requires an 85%. And the Pathways to Leadership post-course knowledge inventory, 80%. And for the secondary and for the leadership, once again, individuals have to be serving in those positions when they complete the training to qualify for the seal of literacy. For Keys to Literacy, there's basically a certificate of completion. There's a practical assessment that's their practical application assessment piece that's done through this program. And once it's completed, there's a certificate of completion created, and that's how the documentation we would need licensure to qualify for that seal of literacy. The second option we brought up, or I brought up that the state board approved for individuals to qualify for the seal of literacy is to complete a test. There are currently a few different test options. First, I'll start with our ETS options, or most commonly referred to as Praxis options. So first and foremost is the Elementary Educators Teaching Reading Subtest 7002. This is a test that the state board approved last year for our new teacher candidates completing licensure programs. So if an individual completes a program, they pass this exam to qualify for that initial license. When they receive their initial license, they will have that seal of literacy on their license. So when they report to your district to work, if they already have that seal of literacy on there, you don't necessarily have to send them through training again, but if the district desires to send that individual to get additional training, because we will always support additional training, you're more than welcome to do so, but they will have met the licensure requirement. Now, in addition to the reading test, one of the first things the state board did as far as working through the science of reading, the HEAD education standards were approved back in February of 2024. And within those elementary content standards for our higher education preparation, there were 3 specific literacy standards that were written into our standards. So those are all geared to ensure that individuals that are trained at our higher ed institutions are receiving training within structured literacy. And it aligns with what Dr. Lane was presenting earlier about the training courses that higher ed is completing as well with those candidates. We also, this is very recent as well, the Reading Specialist Test Code 5302. This is the current Reading Specialist exam that was put into place and approved by the state board on September 1st of 2020. If an individual has passed that exam and has completed a Reading Specialist program since September 1st of 2020, they've been required to complete this exam. They will qualify for the seal of literacy. We did have 95 educators that met this requirement by passing that exam, and all 95 have received their seal of literacy as such. If you completed the old test code 5301, you are not eligible for the seal of literacy. Your options would be to either complete one of the trainings that I provided earlier, or you could pass one of these exams to qualify for that seal of literacy. We also have other test providers outside of ETS that offer test options. We have Pearson's 890 Foundations of Reading. Just a little note about the Foundations of Reading. At one point, it was test 190 Foundations of Reading. That was recently updated in around January for the Kansas test. If someone took the old 190 course, it's the same test that would still qualify you for that seal of literacy. We also have from the Center for Effective Reading and Instruction, the K. Perry exam, another option that an individual could pass and qualify for the seal of literacy. All right, so the seal of literacy, what is it? So right there in the lower left-hand corner, once you earn a seal of literacy, that will be on your license. That is a quick check that any district can do to determine if an educator has met the requirement. It's obviously a quick check the educator can do to ensure that if they pass the training, they see that seal of literacy on there, then they know that the teacher licensure team has received that documentation and issued the seal of literacy. And also for our parents, for our students that are out in our Kansas school districts, if a parent sees that, then they can be rest assured that that educator has demonstrated that they know the principles and structured literacy and are trained to prepare our students in the best ways to learn how to read. All right, so currently for our seal of literacy, we've added approximately, the teacher licensure team has added approximately 3,500 seals of literacy to licenses. We're projecting to add about 600 more at the end of the month. And how do I get that projection? So it's through our letters training. So currently there are people that are finishing letters just about every month. We run a list, licensure runs a list at the end of the month. And when someone completes the the requirements, we do our verification, and then we'll upload data to track and add those seals of literacy directly to a person's license. So that means the district doesn't have to provide us anything, or our candidates, our teachers don't need to send anything in. We can pull the information, we take care of it on our end and get those seals of literacy added. We also have some school districts that are about to finish their year of Keys to Literacy. So we'll expect about 120 of those to finish over the summer as well. And we also have individuals that have been passing our tests. The 7002, it's a mix of veteran educator, and our new teacher candidates are taking that exam as well. So as far as the testing data, kind of the same thing. We're pulling lists of individuals that have passed that test, checking for veteran educators. It's a little tougher, but if we can identify that it's a veteran educator that has taken that exam, we go ahead and add the seal of literacy on our end without additional documentation. For our candidates that are completing teacher licensure programs, whenever they apply for that license, that test will be verified, and we will add that seal of literacy at that point to their license. Also, we have educators that are coming from out of state. Science of reading requirements are a nationwide push, so there's other state departments of education that have taken up initiatives and have required training and or testing for individuals to demonstrate knowledge of the science of reading. We do accept the equivalent out-of-state exams when someone comes in from out of state. So if they've completed one of those state-approved trainings or a state-approved exam and met our passing requirements, then we will add that seal of literacy to their license as well. And I covered the new candidates that are taking exams. All right, that is the end of the slides I want to share. I wanted to try to go through this quickly, so if there are questions that you would have the opportunity to answer those questions. So at this time, I'll turn it back to Dr. Lane, I believe.
Not so quick, Shane, because there are some questions for you.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
let's start with the first one.
Okay.
Did you state that an educator must be in one of the roles when they complete the training to qualify for the seal of literacy through letters?
That is correct. So if anyone who completes letters for elementary educators can qualify for the seal of literacy. It doesn't matter if you're an administrator or in a secondary position. But if you take one of the other specialized trainings, such as the early childhood or the administrator training, you have to be serving in a role that would require that training. So for early childhood, you have to serve in pre-K position only, or for the administrator, you have to be serving as an elementary administrator to qualify to take that training and qualify for the seal of literacy.
This question relates, so it may be just another way to ask what you just answered, but let's see if you can offer some additional clarity. If
Sure.
you are currently a preschool teacher and complete the early childhood letters, will that course qualify for the seal of literacy if you were to move to a different elementary grade in the future?
Short answer is yes. So once you have earned the seal of literacy, you've earned it. It will go with you through the rest of your career. Now, when you report to your district, or if they have you change positions, and they may ask you for some additional training, but from a licensure standpoint, you will have met the licensure requirement and have qualified for the seal of literacy, and will not be required to take an additional training to renew your license.
Thank you so much. I'll give you a slight break and I'll answer this question that's coming in that says it's about the foundation's course, tuition and stipends. And the question is, do you have to be actively working in one of the roles for free tuition, or can you take one of those areas is on your license? So this is a great question, and it poses a dilemma because we are offering the course to licensed educators, but you also must tell us what role you're in. The issue is the tuition and the stipend, because of the limitation in funding, is not for administrators. So Sarah, you asked this question. I would say to you, yes, if you are licensed and working in one of the roles as a teacher or a special educator or ESOL, non-administrative positions, you would be eligible for the tuition and the stipend. All right, here we go back to you, Shane. What if you checked your license, they have taken early childhood letters and do not see the seal of literacy on your license?
All right, good question. So we do have a couple hundred early childhood educators that have completed the program. The licensure team is going through and scrubbing assignments for those individuals to ensure that they were serving in pre-K positions. I expect that to be completed before the end of the month. So if you completed that early childhood letters, you should see your seal by the beginning of next month. So around May 1st or 2nd.
Another question for you, Shane. How does one submit the information to receive the seal on the license? For example, I'm already Siri certified. How do you share the verification?
Yeah, so as far as the requirement, it doesn't go in effect till April of 2028, or excuse me, July 1st of 2028. So we're trying to get ahead of it now by pulling whatever data we can from other entities. But if you have that, we don't have a data sharing agreement with Siri. So if you have that, the best thing I'd advise you to do is just go ahead and contact the licensure team at the, if you go to the FAQ, our contact information is listed on there. Send us an email with that information and we'll review it and we'll add the seal of literacy once we verify that you passed that exam. But another option would be when you go to renew your professional license in the future, you can also attach that information, or your district can attach that information to your professional license renewal application, and we can add it then as well.
Thank you, Shane. Carolyn, I'm going to invite you in, and then Shane may want to follow up because this question is from a university faculty member who teaches in special education low incidence. And the question is, what path is suggested for a college professor interested in getting the seal? So Carolyn, take a stab at that, and then Shane, feel free to jump in.
So the course is really designed to address special education English language learners, the general classroom education. I think if you're a university professor and you're looking to enhance your knowledge, go a little deeper, I think this one would be an excellent choice. There will probably be things that you already know, but things that we may hit upon or go deeper in that you can definitely learn from. So I think it would be a great option for somebody that wants to, even at the university level, just enhance their knowledge and application.
Anything you'd like to add, Shane?
Yeah, and from the teacher licensure perspective, any of the trainings that are listed on there, a college professor could take any of those trainings as well, or pass one of the exams if it came down to it and you wanted to add that seal of literacy to your license. So option would best be suited for you. You could select that and qualify for the seal of literacy.
Rachel, you want to grab a couple of questions while I'm typing some answers? Thanks.
Sure. This next one is for you, Shane. The price of the praxis is a responsibility of the educator. Is that correct?
That is correct. At this time, there's not funding available to reimburse educators for the praxis exam. So it would be at the cost of the educator to pay for that exam.
And then another one, Shane, I think you mentioned this, but just to reaffirm, Lexia automatically communicates with KSDE when letters is completed.
Yes, so the teacher licensure has access to that data, and we can go in at any time and pull a list of who's completed and who's enrolled.
And another license question for you. If someone's renewing their license in 2026, they do not need the training completed.
That is correct. So on July 1st of 2028, when we receive applications for professional renewal, that officially begins the check when we're going to check for the seal of literacy for those individuals that are renewing that license. Someone may renew their license on June 30th of 2028. The requirement will not apply to them. It will catch up with them 5 years when they renew their professional license again. So that person that renewed on June 30th of 2028, they wouldn't be impacted until they renew in 2033.
Thank you, Shane. And then the next one, Cindy, is directed for you. And the question is, can stay-at-home parents with valid license take the foundations course and get the stipend and scholarship?
Thank you for that, Rachel. Unfortunately, you're welcome to take the course, absolutely. And when you successfully complete the course, you're eligible for the Seal of Literacy. But the tuition and stipend are reserved for licensed and practicing educators. So we encourage you to take the course, but you're not eligible for the tuition and stipend at this time. Let us know if there are other questions. We certainly want to be responsive to anything that you are wondering. Here's one, and I think that's for you, Shane. I don't believe it's been asked. If it has, I apologize. I was distracted with my typing. So here it is. Does Lexia automatically communicate with KSDE that you've completed the course?
Yeah, so we have access to their database, and the licensure team will go in once a month and pull down any new program completers and then work to add that seal of literacy after we pull that list. We've been doing this for about 3 months now. The next pull will be next week, and by May 1st or 2nd, those individuals that completed in April, the end of March and completed in April should receive their seal of literacy.
Thank you,
Or will
Shane.
receive their seal of literacy, excuse me.
We have a question that's about teachers who are renewing in 2026. Will see their license expire in 2031. Is there something about teachers needing to be trained by 2030? So there are a lot of dates being flown around. I'll address the date on 2030, and then Shane, maybe remind us again the requirements from KSDE. The 2030 requirement is the goal in the Blueprint for Literacy bill, Senate Bill 438, that we are to work in collaboration with KSDE so that 100% of our workforce has a credential by 2030. Now that's separate from licensure, so I'm going to kick it back to Shane to respond.
Yes, so for licensure perspective, our license requirement goes into effect July 1st of 2028. The professional license is set up on a 5-year renewal. So even though the requirement goes into effect July 1st of 2028, there will be some individuals that renewed their prior to it going into effect, and the requirement actually won't hit them until after 2030 or after 2031. But that's based on our cycle for professional renewal. But whenever you come up for that license renewal after July 1st of 2028, the licensure requirement is in effect for you.
Thank you for providing that clarity. I have a question for you in a minute, but I'll give you a quick break. So we have a question about, do we see a sunset date for the tuition reimbursement and the stipend? And I wanted to talk about this in a live answer because unfortunately, you may be aware that the funding for the Blueprint was not refreshed, renewed, or continued through for the next fiscal year. However, we do currently have funding for at least 1,600 teachers who are interested in taking the course to receive the tuition and the stipend reimbursement. And we will be actively working in the next session, building that movement, if you recall, to secure additional funding for teachers to be trained. We're also pursuing some private funding sources to help. It is my belief, and I think perhaps the belief of many who've joined us tonight, that educators should not have to pay for this training out of pocket. So short answer is yes, there may be some time limited availability for tuition and the stipend. Don't delay in your decision to enroll. Up to 1,600 educators will receive the tuition and stipend reimbursement, and we will actively work to expand that opportunity for others. Shane, what if a teacher completes letters 1 this year and the funding is not continued through next year? How can the teacher earn the seal of literacy?
Yeah, so if you're already enrolled in letters and you've completed version 1, then you're going through your district, that's already been paid for, so you can continue to complete letters and finish up your volume 2. For future people that are looking to enroll and may not have started, the current funding, I would say temporary freeze, or I'm not sure which term to use on there. We have a request pending with the State Department of Education to provide funding back for letters. If that is approved, then the funding will be there. But if it's not approved, then obviously we wouldn't have funding for those people that are looking to enroll after in future dates. But if you've already started with your volume 1, then your volume 2 has already been paid for and you're good to go. So go ahead and finish your training.
That's fantastic. So let me also say that your tuition scholarship will be completed for both courses too at one time. So that funding will be there as well with our uncertain future. Dr. Carlson, this question is a great one for you to answer. It says, do you recommend a specific instructor to student ratio for the foundation's courses?
That's a great question. I think it depends a lot on how the course is being delivered. It's kind of the frameworks that are used, the design as far as coaching models and things like that. Currently, I have approximately 40 in the pilot, but I have a lot of additional support to ensure that those teachers have a very personalized experience. And so I'm fortunate to have that experience. I think my recommendation would be that, and I don't know if this is a potential instructor asking this question or if this was from an educator looking to take the course, but regardless of which role you're in, I would look at the level of depth of the experience that the educators will have in the course. And obviously you can have a large group of students and teachers in the course, but then you may need additional support to make that really meaningful. Like I said, I have a lot. We've sort of taken a team approach with the pilot, and lots of experts across the state, lots of people, supporting. So I think that that would be something. If this is an instructor question, I would like to maybe talk individually about kind of what your expectations are and share with you my experience. And same from the teacher perspective. Look at what you want to get out of this course. We've mentioned that this isn't just a go and kind of take a course and be done with it. This is a really collaborative, meaningful experience. And you should look at the different learning opportunities at the universities, because while we have collectively developed this, there will be some differences. There may be some that meet virtually. Some have virtual and in-person sessions. Maybe there's small group coaching. It could be one-on-one coaching. There could be lots of different types of ways that we're going to approach these. And I would encourage all of the educators to look at the different ways that the universities are approaching this, and then pick the one that fits your learning style, your schedule, and probably most importantly, what you want to get out of the course.
Let me build and reinforce what Carolyn just talked about. One of the things important in the design of this course was that it is not totally asynchronous. There are required regular synchronous opportunities for you to meet with your faculty instructor so that he or she can take you deeper into the problems of practice. And to also suggest, I believe on our website, Rachel or Delaney can jump in, but we have at least a brief description from each of the universities and our independent colleges. If not tonight, we will be, about their format, whether it's going to be hybrid or all in person, or what their plans are. So we'll try to get that information out to you so you can select what best fits your style of learning and your life needs. So while they're taking a look at that, or might respond, Shane, we've got one more for you. Will other professional development courses be considered to be added to the current state board list of approved courses? For example, Wilson or Take, Flight, or other companies' science of reading courses to be added to the approved list?
Yeah, I'll just say that, as far as the list as it stands today, I do expect that it'll change in the future. So I don't want to speak on behalf of the board, but there is the opportunity for other courses to be reviewed and possibly approved by the state board to be added to the list.
Rachel, are you seeing others that we haven't answered yet?
I have one question that I copied and pasted into my Word document that I'm not quite sure if we have covered or not. What if a teacher completes Letters 1 this year and the funding is not continued? How can the teacher earn the seal of literacy?
Thank you, Delaney. I think Shane did answer that, but Shane, doesn't hurt to
Sorry.
answer it again, please.
Sure, especially whenever I'm answering questions. So hopefully I'm able to answer it. But bottom line, if you're enrolled in your letters volume 1 training now, then your course has already been paid for. So you can go ahead and continue to complete your volume 2 letters training. For those folks that haven't started letters and we're looking to get registered and enrolled, there is a freeze at the moment on funding, and the State Department of Education has reached out to the U.S. Department of Education for a request to get those funds back to pay for letters, but it's pending. So if you're already enrolled, continue on, take your training. You're good at the moment. If you haven't registered and began training, then there's the funding will impact you at the moment.
Thank you for that, Shane. Let me just reinforce this need to build a movement. Investing in literacy is an investment in our future. And so join us if you want to. I hope you do. That we need to help our policymakers understand the critical nature of supporting educators so every child learns to read. So I'll get off my soapbox to one more question, and then I'll hand it back to you, Adalia. The question is, are there any plans to emulate the course for larger districts to offer locally or partner with universities, since the districts need to support the coaching model on their own, more than 500 students? I think that there are two things at play here. One is that, separate from the foundations course, the blueprint is working to set up coaching support to small school districts who don't have instructional coaches. So that's separate. For this course, I am sure that our university partners would love to engage with the district, no matter the size, to be able to provide this course for their educators. So I would encourage you to reach out to your university and ask the question about partnering and begin that process. Great questions, great engagement. Thank you so much, Adalia. I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you so much. And I want to take time to thank all of you for being with us this evening. We know that you have demanding schedules, and we hope that you found that the evening was well spent learning more about our goals for equipping and empowering educators to teach every child to read. We would like to also ask you to take a few minutes to complete a form that's being put into the chat box, and it'll also be sent via email at the end of our evening event. We would like you to take the opportunity for follow-up questions, or provide the Blueprint for Literacy Advisory Committee your ideas for future topics to be covered in future events. In addition, You may also share information on other organizations that we can partner with as we continue our efforts to empower educators with the knowledge and skills to improve literacy achievement across the state. Have a pleasant evening. Thank you so much.